Hey there, I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things. Welcome. Today, I'm going to do some gaming on my Commodore 64 like it's 1985. When I was growing up back in the 1980s, I never had a Commodore. But today, I'm going to pretend that I did. I'm going to pretend it's 1985. I just got myself a Commodore, and I got myself some cassette games. Why cassette games, you ask? Well, I was reading a blog by Rob O'Hara, and it mentions in it, back in 1985, that a Commodore 64 cost about $200. A 1541 disk drive also cost about $200, but a dataset cost about $40. So chances are, if I had gotten a Commodore 64 back in 1985, I would have a dataset with it. Why do I know this? I know this because I had a color computer back then, and I had a tape drive for it. I never could afford the disk drive, so I would assume it's going to be the same thing. So we're going to pretend I know nothing about the Commodore 64. We're going to simply use the instructions in these tapes to load up the games and try them out. The first one we're going to try out is Magicland Dizzy. Now, I know if it's 1985, I don't have this game because it didn't come out till 1990. But we're going to suspend the belief because I only have 4 tape games for the Commodore 64, and this is one of them. So, shall we see what this game is all about? Okay. I need some glasses for these 50-year-old eyes so that I can read the tiny little print that's on the tape case here. So, by the Oliver twins, just tells you on the back what a bunch of the games, other Dizzy games are. By Codemasters for the Commodore 64/128. Okay, controls. Press fire or return to start the game. Keys. Z for left, X for right, Shift for up or for jump, return for pick up, drop, use, Q for quit, and P for pause. You can also use the joystick. However, it does not say which port the joystick is supposed to be plugged into. Use Z, X, or joystick to select item in object menu to use or drop. The story so far: the evil wizard Zax is back. Like all evil wizards, he made certain arrangements against his premature demise. He has extracted a terrible revenge by transporting the Yolk folk to a strange fairy tale world and casting evil spells on them to imprison them there forever. Dizzy must free the 6 Yolk folks by breaking the spells, then destroying Zax once and for all before he can return home. Interesting thing about Dizzy games is that I kind of just thought that they were Spectrum and Amstrad games, but apparently they were available on a lot of different systems, including the Commodore and the Atari ST, the Amiga, even the PlayStation. So, let's go plug this in, spend about 10 minutes letting this load, and try this game out. Okay, I have the C64 set up with the cassette player. I've got Magicland here. Okay, the only load instructions on here says type load and press return. Now, of course, it does have controls for the joystick, but it does not tell you whether to use port 1 or port 2, so I plugged it into port 1, just guessing. I also have here a stopwatch to test how long it takes to load this program. So we type load, says press play on tape. And we're off. Now, of course, this is going to take a really long time to load up. If you don't want to take all this time to load these tape files, this is a really good time to talk about the sponsor of the video, Retro Rewind, where you can get a Kung Fu flash cartridge, which you can load tape files from. You just got to find the T64 file, which is the tape file for the emulator, and that will allow you to load up tape files off of your Kung Fu flash cartridge. Available at Retro Rewind at www.retrorewind.ca, and if you use my discount code CRT10, that's CRT10, you save 10% on your order. 1 minute and 50 some seconds into the upload, and you get a nice little loading picture for this game. All right, the game is loaded in 6 minutes and 25 seconds. So as tape games go, that's not too bad. So, let's see, returned. There we go. And this is not the right joystick port. So, got to play by keyboard. Now, of course, Magicland Dizzy is a European game. As I said, I kind of only thought of it as a Spectrum game. I don't think I've ever played a Dizzy game before. And obviously, because it's a European, there's going to be a lot of pixel perfect jumping. Oh. Ah. Oop. Nope. Okay, well, I'm not very good at this game. So, let's take a look and see how long it takes to load it on the Kung Fu flash cartridge. Alright, I got the Kung Fu flash cartridge in. I've changed the joystick port. So, we'll go into my tape files. And Dizzy Magicland Dizzy. Alright, we're ready to load up Magicland Dizzy. I have the timer here, so there we go. Okay, just over 20 seconds and we're into the hacked screen, the cracked screen. So, how do I get out of this? Ah, there we go. Oh, it's a little bit more loading. And of course it is cracked, so it comes with all your unlimited lives, energy, invincibility. It works fine, it loaded up fine. The only thing that I would have changed about the instructions on it is tell you which joystick port to put the joystick in. The next game that we are going to look at is one that I have actually heard of, and I think I may have played briefly at one point, and that is Hunchback. This is from Ocean Software, I believe 1983. So there's the tape. And what does it say about this game? Rescue Esmeralda from her castle stronghold, featuring the ramparts, knights, arrows, fireballs, the pit, and of course the bells. 100% machine code, just like the arcade, made in the UK. So a little bit smaller of a pullout here. Loading. Position the cassette in the Commodore tape recorder with the printed side upward and make sure that it is rewound to the beginning. Ensure that all of the leads are connected. Press the shift key and the run stop key simultaneously. The screen message should appear. Press play on tape. The program will now load automatically. When loading is complete, follow screen instructions. Controls. Game is controlled by joystick or keyboard. So move left, move right, jump is A. So it's arrows or A. Let's plug this in and try it out. I've now got Hunchback in there, and I've got the tape in the drive already. Loading instructions. Shift run stop to... So that's a shortcut to put load in there. So, and here we go. How long will this one take to load? I think it's probably a similar sized program, so it's probably going to be close to the same. But I'll rejoin you when this is all loaded up. So here we are with Hunchback. It took 6 minutes and 42 seconds to load. Unlike the previous game, Dizzy, it did not have a nice loading screen. All it did was it flashed up at the beginning, approximately 6 minute loading time. So, it said F1 for instructions, I believe. Okay, space to start. Let's go joystick. Oh, now it tells me to place it in port 2. Hey, good, I've got it in port 2. A little late to tell me that now. And by the way, I had the wrong setting on my recording software, so during Dizzy I didn't record any of the audio, but as you can hear in the background, there's currently audio going for Hunchback. So, here we go. Boing. Ah! So you basically just got to get across the screen. I have played this game before. Got to get across the screen and get the bell. So this is actually really a good game. I quite enjoy this one. Even though it does have a little bit of picture perfect or pixel perfect jumping and stuff, but as you can see, there's a little guy crawling up the wall behind you. He gets you. He kills you. Oh. Ah. Okay, well, this is Hunchback. This is a good game. Was it worth waiting the 6 minutes or so to... I think so. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. The next one we're going to try out is Hyper Sports from Konami. So, yeah, it just shows some screenshots on the back. Inside you have the tape and nothing else. Let's see, anything on the back? Nope, nothing on the back of the cover. I'm wondering if maybe there's supposed to be some sort of a leaflet inside of it to give you some information about it. But this one has zero information. That doesn't even tell you how to load the game. So if this was the very first Commodore cassette game you ever bought, I guess you would have to look up how to load it. So the next one that we are doing is Hyper Sports from Konami, and I'm not a particularly big sports game fan, but gotta try it. Now this one has zero instructions in it, and my guess is there probably should have originally been a little instruction book with this, because this seems like too complicated of a game not to have any instructions whatsoever. So we will do the shift run stop. And start And from how long I had to rewind this tape, it should be approximately the same size as the other games. So I'll get back to you as soon as something interesting happens. At 3 minutes and 20 seconds, we get the high score list. Flashing at me, loading. Please wait and do not stop tape. All the while, some audio is playing in the background that I can't hear because I don't have my headphones on. Alright, that took about 6 minutes and 7 seconds to load. Interesting enough, the tape is exactly the right size, so it actually clicked off when it was done. The other ones, just the tape deck, motor went off. Anyways, let's try Hypersports. And as I said, I'm not exactly a sports person. What do I do? Okay, oh, there we go. Wiggle the joystick back and forth. Ah, breathe. Fire button to breathe. Yeah, this game is... yeah. I'm not a sports game person, so... Alright, well, this is Hypersports by Konami. Yeah, what else do you say? But, yeah, it's a sports game. So... and the last game that I am going to look at today is Son of Blagger. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought it was a skateboarding game, but looking closer at the title screen, I don't think so. This guy has giant scissors attacking him, a pair of teeth, and a boot chasing him. It does say now with super fast loading. Inside you have the tape. On the tape, it's got some legalese recorded on both sides. That's all it says. On the back, it's for ages 11 plus. It's for the Commodore 64 home entertainment system. Okay, the English is weird on the back of this. And beware the floor that doesn't disappear from under your feet, sending you to an early grave. Well, okay, I have a problem with the way they wrote that, because if you're looking for a floor that doesn't disappear under your feet, that would be every floor. I'd be more worried about a floor that does disappear under my feet. Points key, 200 points, time bonus points. Time to load, 14 minutes. So this actually gives you the amount of time that it takes to load the game. Interesting. Loading instructions, switch machine off and then on, hit shift, run stop keys together. All right, well, let's go try this out and be wary of those floors that don't disappear. Or just be wary of a normal floor, I guess. Okay, let's go play this. We're about to try Son of Blagger, which I could not get to run off of the tape that I have. So, tape files, Son of Blagger. Loading. And this isn't going to take the 12 minutes. There you go. See, took absolutely nowhere near 12 minutes to load it up. Okay, this doesn't look like a great version of the well, this version of the game doesn't seem to be working. There we go. 3 out of 4 games. Not too bad. I spent about, 20 minutes loading those 3 games up. Then I spent about 40 minutes on the one that didn't work, that Son of Blagger. Now, when I first saw it, I'm not at all interested in that game. I thought it was a skateboarding game because of it just kind of looks like he's riding a skateboard on the front. Then after reading the back, I was very interested in it. And then seeing the only versions I could find seemed to be very glitchy, so unfortunately, it's just not worth playing. Anyways, so is it worth loading these games off of the original tape format? Well, not in today's world. You can certainly find faster and easier ways to load things up. I do, however, have to say that I am impressed with the Commodore tape deck thing that you hook up to your computers, the data set, because I grew up with the color computer, and the advantage of the color computer is you could pretty much use any tape deck to load and save programs. It didn't have to be proprietary like this one. The disadvantage was that you had to have the volume setting perfect and everything. You had to have if the cables wiggled or anything, then it caused problems. This one seems a little more solidly built, although it is, as I said, proprietary, so it's got one use and one use only. All right, well, yeah. So just remember, go to Retro Rewind if you're looking for one of those Kung Fu Flash cartridges. Use CRT10 to get 10% off. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget that a like, a subscribe, and a comment below are all things that help the channel out a lot and are greatly appreciated. But until next time, see you later.